my 19M, have been in a relationship with a much older woman, 39F, for the last 4 months, and it's starting to feel really weird. I first met her when I took a part-time job at a local small business she owns, which I no longer work at for unrelated reasons. She had been very openly hitting on me for several months before, but I didn't reciprocate, even though I did find her attractive, due to a combination of shyness and obliviousness. I'm not very good with women and had never been in a relationship before. Eventually, she pretty much outright asked me if I wanted to stop by her place one night, and we wound up having sex for the first time. This relationship has been going on for a while since then, but there's a lot of things I'm finding that are really weird and off-putting, even aside from the age gap itself. First of all, she constantly wants to do sexual stuff with me at random times. For example, back when I was still working for her, but after our relationship had started, she would constantly call me to her office just to ask me if I wanted to make out or invite me to feel her up. She also trying sexting with me regularly, even though I usually don't respond very well, since it's something I feel very awkward doing. She sometimes gets really upset when I'm not interested too, which makes it even more awkward for me. Also, she's constantly getting me very expensive gifts, which I guess sounds nice in theory, but actually makes me feel really awkward, since I generally try very hard to be self-sufficient. For example, one time, she bought a fancy new laptop because she heard that I'd been using the same old one for several years, which put me in kind of a weird position since I didn't want to get rid of my old laptop, but also didn't want to hurt her feelings. Finally, she's always texting me late at night, asking me to come over to her place and fuck her, and she sometimes gets really upset if I tell her I have other plans or am just tired. It's a 45-minute walk from my door to her place, so it's not just something I could do casually. She's also constantly texting me drunken rants about her ex-husband and how he stole the best years of her life, and about men in general, and how they're stupid and shallow, and how she's glad that I'm smart enough not to waste time with trashy college sluts. Like I said before, I've never been in a relationship before, so I'm not really sure how much of the weird feeling in my gut is caused by actual red flags, and how much is caused by the fact that I'm just not used to relationship stuff in general. Can anyone help me out here? Relevant comments. Sugar mama isn't getting enough from her sugar baby. This isn't a normal, healthy relationship, if that's what you're wondering. OOP. What's unhealthy about it? Comment. She likes you because she can control you. She buys you things so that she can demand your time. You feel indebted to her because of the things she has given you. She tells you when you two are going to hook up. She tells you when you can touch her. I'd say she gets off knowing you're so inexperienced and young. She likes having some younger guy at her beck and call. I would say you're not in a relationship, at least not a boyfriend/girlfriend or partner relationship. You've entered into a sugar mama/sugar baby relationship. I repeat, you are not in a relationship with this woman. OOP. Do you really think that's what's going on here? That sounds really disturbing. Then again, a lot of people here seem to be saying similar things. Comment. I mean, it's 100% what's happening. She is newly out of a divorce. She wants a booty call, that's it. She's probably really resentful towards men her own age right now and wants a partnership that she can control completely. So, she gives you gifts so that you feel indebted to her. Then, when you don't want to do something, you remind her of her ex-husband and how men suck, and she blows up at you. Trust me, you have a sugar mama. That's why this whole thing seems weird. Now that you know, you can decide what you want to do. Are you okay with continuing, now that you know this isn't a real relationship? Or would you feel more comfortable entering into a genuine relationship with someone close to your own age with less baggage? Update. After having some time to collect my thoughts, I decided that the best decision would be to break things off since we obviously had different things we wanted in the relationship. I originally planned on doing this when I next saw her. That's not how things wound up playing out. 3 nights ago, after I made my first post, I got a very explicit text from her telling me she wanted to see me in half an hour and all the things she wanted me to do to her. I politely told her I wasn't interested, and as usual, she started to get insistent and kind of upset. Since it seemed like the path of least resistance, I just told her then and there that, while I had enjoyed our time together, I wanted something different in a relationship and wanted to break it off. She asked why, and I just told her that it wasn't working and I didn't want to get in a long conversation about it. Maybe that was a mistake, but a lot of people in the last thread were telling me not to try and engage too much with her, and that advice made sense to me. For the next several hours, she kept sending me messages asking me what was going on, why didn't I like her anymore, if there was anything she could do, etc., and I just kept telling her that I enjoyed what we had, but I was just ready to move on. Eventually, the messages stopped, and I assumed that the whole thing was over. The next day, I awoke to find a ton of messages on my phone from her ranting about how she thought I was different from other guys, but I'm just another stupid, shallow asshole who chases after college whores because I'm too emotionally stunted to handle a relationship with a real woman like her. A few hours later, to my shock and horror, she tried to ambush me when I was on the way to my dorm for lunch. She knows where I live, sadly, and started laying into me about how I was a shallow, immature, ungrateful asshole, and she never wanted to see me again. A few hours later, she started sending me more nasty messages, so I decided to block her number. She later cornered me again when I was trying to get dinner and demanded to know why I hadn't responded to any of her messages. I told her that I had blocked her number and did not want to talk to her any further, and she went off on me again and said that I was an immature loser who will never find anyone else who's willing to touch my tiny dick again. This really got to me, since I do have a lot of trouble with women. Yesterday, she ambushed me yet again when I was trying to get lunch and started laying into me about how I was too shallow, stupid, and ungrateful to appreciate a woman like her, how she hopes I die alone, and I just told her that I was going to contact the authorities. I realized that there was no other option at this point, and walked off. A few hours later, after informing campus security and the local police, I temporarily unblocked her number and sent her a message saying that I had contacted the authorities and that there was going to be trouble if she continued her behavior. She sent me a reply saying that I was being a cowardly piece of shit, and I blocked her again. She made no attempt to make further contact with me since then. Hopefully the situation has at least been resolved now, although part of me is still uneasy just cause of how far she's escalated so far. I'm not going to lie, this has taken a fairly serious emotional toll on me. One of the few women who's ever showed any interest in me, who I used to like and have some amount of respect for, suddenly turned into a complete psycho who hates my guts, and some of what she was saying did hit close to home at times. I don't doubt for a second that I made the right decision here, but part of me just wants to understand why she went so crazy so fast so I don't wind up in this situation again. Sorry if that sounds melodramatic, but that's just where I'm at right now. TLDR, I just broke things off with the older woman I was in a relationship with, and she started following me around and sending me nasty messages. Final comments. I just reread your first post, and it seems to me that she didn't just suddenly do 180 and become crazy when you broke it off. All the warning signs that she might be unstable were there already. She was heavily controlling, manipulative, and used language that suggested really unhealthy ways of thinking. People who use the "you're so much more mature than all the other people your age" line are establishing an unhealthy power differential, usually because they want to control their partner. I'm so glad you got out this relationship. OOP. Yeah, I can see some of that in retrospect. I guess part of what worries me is that I still don't know enough to be confident that I could spot warning signs in the future. Comment. Not to make sweeping judgments on relationships with large age differences, but to be safe, I would date much closer to your age for a while. You're still very young and inexperienced, and it's too easy for someone that much older to manipulate you. It's a safe assumption that a 30-plus-year-old who's interested in a relationship with a teenager is bad news.